In a world where superhero movies are king, Defendor is the jester of the royal court. Defendor is a film about a man by the name of Arthur Poppington, who believes himself to be a superhero in a world where there are none. But there is one big difference. Arthur is mentally challenged. On the surface, this film seems to be a farce of the superhero genre, by having its protagonist be a poor, mentally challenged Batman. Even that being the case, this movie is like an ogre or an onion. It has layers. If one were to look at this film with a psychological lens, one would notice that there are some things not right about Arthur's psyche. The three parts of our psyche are superego, ego, and id. His id is definitely not in control, and sex appears to be the last thing on his mind. Arthur's superego seems to be normal, but his ego is definitely not running at 100%. In the world in which Defendor is based, superheroes don't exist, and those who pretend to be are viewed as weird, which is one of, if not the biggest plot points of the film. There are two fictional characters that Defendor reminds me of. The first is Batman. They're both grown men, one a billionaire, the other a hundredaire at best. In a Psychology Today article, Batman's Mental Health Part 1, Dr. Robin S. Rosenberg suggests that Batman could suffer from dissociative identity disorder. What is dissociative identity disorder? It's a rare condition in which two or more distinct identities or personality states are present in and alternately take control of an individual. Not only does this appear to be present in Batman and Arthur, but also in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. There's a fantastic series called Jekyll done by BBC that delves deep into the disorder that I highly recommend. Now back to Defendor. Throughout the film, we see Arthur in a court-mandated psychological evaluation. At a point during the evaluation, his psychiatrist, played by Sandra Oh, asks him why he dons his turtleneck with the D duct taped to his chest. He responds, because superheroes aren't stupid. They're not afraid. When I'm Defendor, I'm not Arthur anymore. I'm a million times better than Arthur. This line may fall into the dissociative identity disorder, but as a kid who used to play with his imagination for hours on end, Defendor is his way of escaping to be something more than himself, a superhero. Now, linking Arthur Poppington to this next fictional character might come as a shock to some, but Defendor reminds me of Don Quixote de la Mancha. For those that are not aware who Don Quixote is, he's a fictional character from a book by the same name written by Miguel de Cervantes in 1605. Don Quixote is obsessed with knights of old. He has read hundreds of books about them, and he believes himself to be a knight in an age where knights are non-existent. Okay, so what did Don Quixote suffer from, and how does it relate to Defendor? Mario Perez Alvarez of the University of Oviedo wrote a paper titled The Psychology of Don Quixote. As for the psychology we extract from Don Quixote, it serves to illustrate the constructive principle of the person in real life. This principle, called indeed the Quixotic principle, consists in a person's adoption of a new identity taken from literary models or models of other types. The relationship between the new identity and the original person is analyzed in terms of the person-character dialectic. Don Quixote read many books about knights, and Arthur read many comic books about superheroes. Both of these characters believed themselves to be something they weren't. In place of Arthur fighting dragons that are actually windmills like Don Quixote, he speaks into his watch to get his car called Defendog to turn on its lights. Unlike Don Quixote, Defendor actually stumbles across his dragon, a mob involved with human trafficking, and takes them down with help of the local police department. Now, I believe the best way to analyze Defendor is through a psychological lens. There really isn't anything in the film to suggest he was made into Defendor by his environment, but rather his obsession with superheroes that made him don his black turtleneck. If you haven't seen this film, I highly suggest you do. It isn't the most well-made film by any means, but it's a fun watch, especially if you're tired of the Marvel DC superhero movies. I suggest you watch this one.